Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special episode of the Mac Movie Reviews podcast. I'm your host, Mac, and I'm joined here once again by my co-host, Kristin, aka Miss Flamingo. Say hi to the folks at home, Kristin.
Hello, everybody. We have a really great episode for you guys today. Should I introduce our guest?
Yes, you do. This is your first produced podcast, so I'm going to let you take it away with the intro.
I know. I'm so excited. So, guys, we have a huge guest today. He's a wonderful film critic. He's very kind. I'm happy to have gotten to know him over the last week, and I'm proud to announce we have the one, the only, Mr. Jackie K. Cooper!
Hey, I'm so glad to be here.
Happy to have you.
It's an honor to have you today, Mr. Cooper, and
we're
excited.
Well, I am too.
So today, guys, we're just going to do the usual setup. We're going to talk some movie news. We're going to review The Prom, which is the film Mr. Cooper decided to review with us today. And then we're just going to do a little Q&A. So I'm ready to get started. Mac, you ready?
Yeah, sure, but shouldn't we let Mr. Cooper explain who he is? So at least the people who may not be familiar with him real quick.
That is true.
Well, the easy way to say it is I have been reviewing movies for 40, 50 years, almost 40 years. I've been in numerous newspapers. I was a film critic for the Huffington Post. I don't even know if y'all are aware of what that is, but I was a film critic for the Huffington Post for several years. I worked I'm in Georgia, and right around Macon, Georgia, if you've ever heard of that. And I've been on the ABC affiliate there, the NBC affiliate, the CBS affiliate, the Fox affiliate. I've been on all those stations. I've written 7 books.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
They're not about movies. They're memoirs, but you can go to Amazon or whatever. Just put in Jackie K. Cooper, and you'll see all the titles of my books. And then 2 years ago, I know Mac we were talking beforehand. Mac, you said you've been on Facebook for 4 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. I had been on Facebook, right, 10 years, and posting my YouTube reviews, and I had 136 subscribers. I was really excited. 136 people were following me on YouTube. And then in March of 2019, on a Friday night, my son, who lives here in Perry, Georgia, where I do, came over and said, "Dad, let me show you something." And I said, "Yeah, I need something I want to show you on too, because I'd been quoted on a poster, and I thought that was a really big thing for a movie, and they put my name in what I said." And he said, no, I got to show you this. And I said, "No, let me show you this." And he said, "Dad, I've got to show you this." And we go to the YouTube, and it's like an odometer, and it went from 136 subscribers, and next thing you know, it's up to 2,000 subscribers, and then it was at 5,000 subscribers, and then it was at 15,000 subscribers, and over the weekend, it ended up at 150,000 subscribers.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And do that, and it all happened because a guy in Boston, Massachusetts, named Maxwell, he was just going through YouTube, and he stumbled across my movie reviews, and he said, this poor old guy has been on YouTube for 10 years or whatever, and he's only got 136 subscribers, and he thought I should have more subscribers. So he went on subreddit and posted some stuff, and then it went to Reddit, and then from Reddit it went to PewDiePie. Y'all know who that is?
Yes, I'm a huge PewDiePie fan. So once I actually saw it, he recognized you. I was like, I gotta check this guy out.
And once he did that, it went wild. It just went crazy. So, it's all been amazing. And I asked Maxwell, I said, Maxwell, why did you pick me? He's a young kid in Boston, like I say. And he said, you were just in the right place at the right time. And I saw it, and I thought something should be done. So I owe everything to Maxwell, because he's the one who put me out there. But it's been an amazing ride. I've loved movies all my life, and this is, and I have the nicest, if you get a chance, go to my YouTube channel, Jackie K. Cooper, and just read the comments. They are the nicest subscribers that you would ever meet. They all say I'm their grandfather figure, that type of thing. And they're from all over the world. I was like, I'll hear somebody in Russia, I'll hear somebody in New Zealand, I'll hear somebody in Germany. It's wild, it's mind-blowing. And the great thing, and this is what I hope all the listeners to your podcast get, I'm 79 years old. I'll say it right out. 79 years old. I was 77 when I was discovered. And if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Just hang in there. If you love it, like, Kristin, you and I were talking, you've loved movies all your life, you said. But if you love it and you're doing something you love, I was happy when I had 136 subscribers, because I was doing what I loved. And now to be able to have this much of a market and have, this kind of a reception is just unbelievable. Have y'all ever heard a story like that?
No,
not really.
That's really insane, even you telling it now, because I'm a PewDiePie fan and always have been. And when he acknowledged you, I was like, I never seen this guy before. I gotta check this guy out. And then ever since then, I've been watching you. So I was like, this is insane. I'm like, for you, just to mention your age to us, it doesn't matter how old you are, what gender you are. Anybody can get discovered at the right time, at the right moment. And you said, you just need to be at the right place. And lucky enough and fortunate enough to be in that right place. And now you are sitting with 119,000 subscribers. And now I want to acknowledge that it's your goal in March of 2021 that you want to get to 200K.
I'd love to. Subscribe, everybody.
That's the word, subscribe, everybody. Let's get Jackie, Mr. Cooper, to 200K. I think we can do it in this short time. Let's do it. Or at least by the end of 2021, let's get this man to.
And it's possible.
It is possible.
Go ahead.
They send you, they send you a plaque when you get to 100,000. YouTube does. I didn't know that. It came in the mail. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a plaque. This is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you get a million, you get like a little gold one, and then when you get to like 10 million, you get like a diamond.
Well, this one's silver.
Shiny.
Silver. But good gosh, that's just unbelievable. My grandson came over the other day and he was looking at it and he said, do you know how many people have these? There are not many people who have these. You've got a plaque from YouTube.
It's an honor to get them, honestly, and Mac and I will hopefully get there one day.
Yes you will.
But Jackie, go ahead. Oh, but all of Jackie's where you can find them at, it'll be in the link in the description of this video of the podcast, so you know where to find him and help him get to his goal of 200K subscribers.
Alrighties, so I'm ready to get some movies business talking. Are you ready, Mac?
Yes, I am.
Ready, Mr. Cooper?
Yeah, I think I've been learning something from y'all, because y'all right there on the pulse of it.
This is CNN.
Okay, so for the news, we got just quick segments of news. So here, I'll go first, and then Kristin will go. So first news topic would be that Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, his definitive Justice League version that's in the continuity of the DCEU. It has a release date and it has a runtime. It's going to be dropping on March 18th, 2021 on HBO Max, and it'll have a runtime of 4 hours. So it's not going to be a miniseries. It's just going to be a 4-hour straight long movie. So what do y'all think about this version of Justice League that it's going to be 4 hours?
Let's ask Mr. Cooper. Have you seen the original Justice League that came out? I believe it was in 2017.
Yes.
Have you seen it? And did you enjoy it, or did you have your mixed thoughts about it?
I did. I enjoyed it. I like, the action hero movies and, Justice League, the DC and Marvel Comics and all that sort of stuff. All I was thinking was, I'm glad they're putting it on HBO Max. I don't know if I could sit in a theater for 4 hours and watch it.
I think this would have been better if it was like a mini series. I think I kind of wanted it to enjoy at least an episode coming out every week, so that would have enticed me to get HBO Max instead of maybe borrowing it from a friend for an hour or two. And I just don't want to. I don't know if I could sit there for 4 hours and just watch some of the same stuff over again, if that's what Zack Snyder's going to do. Like we don't know what he's got planned. This is his cut, and I'm curious to see what he has stored up his sleeves.
See, I wouldn't have liked it if they had put it out like one 30-minute episode and wait a week and put out another 30-minute episode, or 1 hour. And then I like, not that I'm going to watch it all 4 hours at one time, but I like knowing that if I want to, it's there waiting for me.
Do you think it'll be better than Joss Whedon's cut? Because everyone says that Joss Whedon's cut of Justice League in 2017, it was a very bad movie, and that none of Zack Snyder's footage was in there because his daughter passed away, and that's why he had to step away from production. So this is this new movie's going to be 100% his footage. There's no 2017 Justice League. The 2017 one's virtually going to be erased from history.
Mac, I think that there's so much admiration out there for Zack Snyder that there's so much anticipation about his cut. I think he's got a high bar to meet. People are. I mean, this is you get comments about, I can't wait for this. I know it's going to be so much better. I know it's going to be just absolutely the best thing ever. Da 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 da. And when those expectations are building up, it's a hard thing to meet everybody's expation.
Yeah.
It's really going to be interesting to see the reaction. I've got a feeling they're either, the fans are either going to go 100% for it, or they're going to be 100% against it. Pretty much. Yeah,
there's not going to be one-way streak. I think, like you said, they're either going to love it or hate it and just be like, this is the worst than the original, or the original was better.
Yeah, and he had 4 hours to do this.
Yeah.
And got so much extra money to do it over again. And, knowing he didn't have to, go back and reshoot anything, that's great. Because of COVID and everything,
no,
and
everybody
agreeing to use whatever footage was there.
No, they did some reshoots.
They did?
They had Ben Affleck come in. They had Henry Cavill. They had Ray Fisher. Everyone but Gal Gadot came back for reshoots.
Okay, because that's what I thought. Because I didn't see Gal in anything, or at least acknowledged it.
Yeah, it was just some people came in and some not, but the rest of it they finished VFX effects.
Okay, because that's what I was only thinking of, was that the effects in general, because that's what all the majority of the budget had to go back into.
Yeah.
So,
can I interject one thing here? But since you mentioned Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman 84, did y'all have a podcast about that or make any comments?
It was on my best movie. When we did our best movies podcast, I put it at number 10 because I didn't have the heart to put it on the worst movies of the year, because Birds of Prey I still think was the worst DC movie last year. But it's a okay film. It's not bad. I just feel like it's very underwhelming for a sequel.
I enjoyed it.
Well, I'm glad, but I was expecting so much more. That was my problem. And that whole little opening sequence just did nothing for me.
Really?
You didn't like the Olympic scene?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Wow, that's the first scene that I actually heard somebody say they weren't crazy about it, because a lot of people that I've talked to or read reviews about, everybody said they loved the opening and they were expecting something major and be like, all right, here we go, Patty Jenkins, here we go. And I felt like an adrenaline rush watching.
It was a chance to see Robin Wright. Gave us a chance to see Connie Nielsen as her mother. And then, You don't lie. That's good. You know, if you lie, you lose. Whatever. It just didn't do it for me. I'm sorry. Maybe it's just me, but I never got why 1984.
80s. The 80s nostalgia craze, you know? It's like everyone's like, remember the 80s? We weren't even born in the 80s, but it was a great decade.
I remember. Yeah, sure. But it was just, I just kept thinking, give me the key. Give me the one thing that made it 1984.
I think they just wanted to establish the year, and I think what they wanted to do is like mark it off the way, like how Guardians of the Galaxy was, because that
and that's 80s. That's like 70s and 80s right there, and that's like very successful.
Yeah, you know? All the music, yeah.
And I think that's what they were trying to bank off of, how well like Marvel does it when it combines its time aspect and aesthetic. You know, I think Captain Marvel does it worse. I think here in 84 it was better, but yeah, I'm curious to see how the Snyder Cut will be. But yeah, anything else you want to ask?
What are you expecting from the Snyder Cut, Kristin?
Let's see. Given the fact that I haven't seen the Justice League yet.
Yeah,
I'm behind on it. I didn't get to see it when it came out in theaters. I missed it, unfortunately, and I was told I didn't miss much.
You did not.
So
it was just, it was just there. It wasn't the best movie, it wasn't the worst movie. It was just kind of stuck in the middle for me.
No, exactly.
It came out the same time around Thor Ragnarok, so it had very hard competition to fight. I think more people saw Thor than Justice League.
Yeah, to do like a double movie day of going to see like a superhero movie weekend, you go see Thor and be like, oh my gosh, that was great. Now I hope Justice League is even better. And then you go in and you're like, okay. But this does make me want to, rent the Justice League and then just go in immediately and see what Zack Snyder has planned up his sleeve.
Or just contrast them together, yeah.
And I have always been interested in Zack Snyder because he's just like the big effects guy and like going nuts and crazy guy with his stunts, similar to like how, Michael Bay is, how he's not like that, but they got the same, I think, ideas going.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just curious to see how his cut is, because everybody argues like, oh, I want this to happen for the film, but then the studio comes in and is like, no, but we want this. So seeing what is going to happen with that and what he does with his previous films, I'm curious to see what makes this the Snyder Cut and what makes him say, this is the movie I want.
But how did he get the right to make the Snyder Cut? Do y'all know?
I think fans were just pushing for it for for about 4 years now, and even some of the actors in the movie, they're like, release the Snyder Cut, because like Jason Momoa was like a big voice to be like, release the Snyder Cut, and then like
was just pressure the fans and
fans nowadays, like there's all stan accounts for whatever it is for a particular film nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just demanding, to say, hey, we want this. It's interesting to see studios say like, okay, this is what the people want. Let's give it to them.
Yeah. And I think
now that can be said also for
this is a rarity, This is something rare that's happening.
Well, now it can be said because now we got that circulating around of the Ayer cut. The David Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
No, I don't like that. That's bad. It's gonna be even worse.
Now, how do you feel about the Suicide Squad?
I like the Suicide Squad. That was that Harley Quinn, or is that Birds?
That was Birds of Prey.
Harley Quinn had Birds of Prey, and not.
Who did Suicide Squad have? That was Jim Carrey. I know Jim Carrey was in it.
No, that was Suicide Squad was
Will Smith and Margot Robbie.
And Margot Robbie and
Cara Delevingne.
What's his name?
Yeah, Joel Kidman.
No.
I'm a big Margot Robbie fan, so she was in it. I loved it.
She's great though in general. I like her Harley Quinn, but I just feel like the films that they give her can be stronger.
She's a good actress. She's a
good actress though.
Yes, she is.
I love her in I, Tonya. But anyway, should we move on to our next piece of news?
Yeah, we wore out this DC too much now. We got to give the DCEU a break.
All right. So let's move on to this next topic. This topic is a little controversial for us, and that involves the one and only Armie Hammer.
Wow.
He has been circulating around, giving some news about some, we'll just put it lightly, some cannibalistic thoughts. And recently, he dropped out of the Jennifer Lopez film. I forgot what it was called. But
in a Shotgun Wedding?
Yeah, Shotgun Wedding. And now Josh Duhamel is set to star in it and has been discussed. But now he has exited the Godfather drama series for Paramount Plus. So my thoughts are, and my question to you guys is, how do you feel about the recent exits and if this is the end of his career?
He had a career to begin with.
He had a career.
Yeah.
He had a career. He was good at some roles.
Call me by my name or call me by your name or whatever.
Oh yeah, I forgot. See, I'm thinking
that, and then now he was set to be in The Death of the Nile with Gal Gadot.
Oh, yeah.
And he was in the Lone
Ranger.
Yeah, with Johnny Depp, and then he was in.
That's what I'm stuck with.
Social Network. So he had some faith in his career. He just screwed it up.
But didn't his wife just come out and his ex-wife, who he's divorcing, or she's divorcing him? Didn't she just come out and defend him?
She kind of was like surprised, I think, and she's about her ongoing controversy. I have a People article right here, but they did file for divorce. I believe it was about a year ago, maybe a little bit more. So
they have like 2 or 3 children.
They have 2 kids, and they also announced another thing, just to move on from a little bit similar topic to that. But Thursday, the news about a new Luc Guadagnino film and Timothée Chalamet are teaming up for a new project. So I wonder now if Call Me By Your Name is completely gone. That sequel will no longer be in existence because of Armie.
So what did he do exactly? Because I'm a little confused. I tried to look it up and I was just confused.
So what happened was he was like texting some girls, being a little too explicit, saying like, I'm probably over exaggerating the situation a little bit, but it's like, oh, I want to rip out your ribs and eat them. And
okay.
It's a little extreme. It's like weird sexual tension thoughts, and seeing what he posts on Instagram of like, meats, and like he posted a pig's head, I think, one time, or a boar's head, and there was an Instagrammer who actually broke the news that it went under anonymous, I believe it was. So yeah, it doesn't.
He has denied any serious cannibalism. Has he not? He said, they were all hyperbole. They were just, trying to be funny. Or
it wasn't him trying to be funny. He just thinks that it was just taken. He's just denying everything, and then he's like, I'm not responding to any of this bull claims, but in light of the vicious and superstitious online attacks against me, I cannot in any good conscience now leave my children for 4 months shooting in a film in the Dominican Republic. That's what he said about the Shotgun Wedding and the claims, and he hasn't responded really to anything of that much, and that comes from a People magazine article posted yesterday.
Let me ask you this. Do you think this is one of the things where somebody made the allegation, said, oh, he's cannibalistic, he means all, and then everybody just kind of piles on? And
yeah, I think a lot of people are just piling on him just to add to the drama, and there's a lot of girls, there's some girls coming out saying like, and there was a video, I think, drugs can have an effect on this, but it looked like there was a video of him online snorting a substance. So I have a feeling that might have added to some of that and maybe
First actor
Austin
who's
sent him those
substance.
messages. I'm sorry?
He's not the first actor who snorted substance. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd be
That's
killing
true.
careers right and left here if that were the case.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah,
It seems to all be one on top of the other, though. And
it's just so many issues of him, and these allegations are just coming out. This is all alleged, I should say, that's coming out. You know, there is evidence of text messages and proof. The evidence is there for yourself if you guys want to go see it and investigate it. But my question now is, who do you think should take part in this Godfather series on Paramount?
They shouldn't do it and just let it live.
So you mean just let Armie Hammer just do it and let?
No, I said they shouldn't even do this at all. It just seems kind of dumb.
Oh, of how this Godfather series is?
Yeah, because it's like Francis Ford Coppola. He seems very like protective of his work, and I respect that because he seems like he's a completionist. And like I don't know, it doesn't feel like wow, let's make a Godfather TV series. Like I don't like because I know when they made the Godfather. Speaking of video game allegories here, when they made the Godfather video games, he wanted nothing to do with it. He said, "These destroy my vision of the movies." And I'm like,
I forgot there was a Godfather video game.
I'm like, you want it? So you're cool with a TV show? Like, remember what happened to Training Day and how they screwed that up?
It's true.
But didn't they? Come on, y'all know more about this than I do. But didn't they just release a recut version of The Godfather 3?
Yes.
Just died. I mean, nobody talked about it. It just, it was like, oh, this is coming out, and then it was like, and
pretty much.
Reacted.
Yeah, it was like they did a special, I think, Phantom event for it, and then it was totally gone. But they released it, I believe, on Blu-ray and a DVD set, or it's coming out. I didn't even bother to get it.
Commentary on it? I mean, y'all are in on the pulse of things more than I am, but I have any questions about it, or people saying, oh, where can I see the new version of Godfather 3 or anything like that?
I think when they first announced it, it was like people were talking about it, but then after a while, people were like, oh, well, who cares, honestly? And that's
because then it's like, go watch the third film, because it is a new version of the third film, so I haven't seen it, and I've only seen the third film once and just didn't really care about it. I only believe in the first and the sequel. But so I don't even know if I have the urge to go watch the newer cut. Maybe I will down the road, but
which leads us back to who would want to watch a Godfather TV series.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the good point, and I think I might watch it. I was going to watch it regardless because I actually did like Armie Hammer. So it just depended on how the trailer looked and given else who was involved and seeing if it was worthy or not. And I'm just was interested to know how The Godfather came to be because that's what the series was going to be about. So I was just more interested in the history aspect than seeing a recut of it.
Go back and start at the origins of Don Corleone, and bring that forward, or would they got to pick it up like the first Godfather did? He was already into his career within the family. I want to know that too. I want to know what aspect they were handling of the story.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting, but regardless of that, the series was going to be set back in 1972 with 10 episodes, and the series was set to detail Rudy's experience. So from what it sounds like, that was supposed to be
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer's character, and his experience working on the film. Now the series is searching for a new lead, and the series was set to be called The Offer.
So it wasn't a remake of The Godfather. It was about the backstory of how the movie came to be. Is that what I'm getting, Kristin?
Yes.
Okay, so Armie Hammer was supposed to play Don Corleone, the Al Pacino.
No, he was going to play this. Sounds like a man named Rudy. So of the man who talking about his experience working on that film, and I'm sure somebody was going to play Francis Ford Coppola in it. So I'm curious to see, because I haven't really looked into how, like what we just talked about, how he felt about it.
Yeah, that could be interesting, though. I'll give them, open mind on that.
Yeah. So now we have to find a new lead. It's going to take it longer to come out, but who knows what will come out of this new show? Only time will tell. But for now, let's move on to our next topic. What's our next topic, Mac?
So my next news point, which is my last one, is that are you guys a fan of the first Cloverfield movie directed by J.J. Abrams?
I remember when it came out. Who was it? Was it John Goodman?
That's 10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane. That was back in, was that 2016? Yeah.
The first one came out.
The actor.
The what?
The main actor in Cloverfield.
He was like an unknown, I think, or like I didn't know who he was, and I honestly forgot.
Okay, but this is the movie where the aliens were coming into the city, right?
Yeah, it was like a giant monster. It's a found footage movie.
Yeah, and people were trying to escape. I remember that type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't overly impressed. I'm sorry.
Well, they announced yesterday.
I'm pretty good to remember that.
Well, they announced yesterday that J.J. Abrams is coming back to produce a direct sequel to the first film, which came out in 2008, but it won't be in the style of found footage. It's going to be an entirely different story. So, yeah, we're getting another Cloverfield movie. This is going to be the first one we've had since 2018, when it was the Cloverfield Paradox on Netflix, and it was bad.
And didn't they film that with the handheld cameras? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
There was a big thing at that time. Everything was, we're right here and the camera's jumping. I hated that.
Yeah, there's an audience that does not like those kind of
found
films.
Footage. They can get you motion sickness. Like when I first watched I watched the Blair Witch.
That was the original, wasn't it, Mac? First time I remember ever seeing the camera bouncing all over the screen was the Blair Witch Project.
It's like that made me a little bit sick the first time I watched it, but I rewatched it. I was like, okay, I think I can handle it. It's like some of them I can do with found footage, but like if it's like lazy found footage, like the Paranormal Activity movies, I can't watch it.
I think the one found footage film I liked, kind of enjoyed, was Unfriended. It's not the best movie. I enjoyed it for what it was.
It was a good comedy.
Yeah, it's a good popcorn movie, but I don't mind the Cloverfield movies. But I don't remember Paradox really that much. I don't even know if I watched it, to be honest.
Which one? Paradox?
Yeah, I don't even remember if I watched it. I don't even think I did. If I did, I did.
Jackie, did you watch Cloverfield Paradox? The third movie, it was on Netflix, or it's on Netflix.
What was the title again?
The Cloverfield Paradox.
I didn't watch that.
It premiered actually
after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, after the 2018 Super Bowl.
Yep. It had no announcement. It was just like, here's a trailer, and it's going to come on right after the game.
Okay. That fun fact here, I'm not into sports.
Okay.
So
I'm not really that either. Most of me
at the end of the Super Bowl did not say, oh my gosh, I'm watching the Super Bowl, so I'll watch this. No. Sorry. I've got two sons who are avid sports fans, but no, not me. I was the geek, movie kid.
Well, it's interesting enough because the Cloverfield Paradox, it wasn't even supposed to be a Cloverfield movie because it was something. It was going to be released in theaters. It was going to be called The God Particle, and then J.J. Abrams' production company Bad Robot picked it up and said, okay, you know what? Let's make this about Cloverfield. So they put in a few scenes, like literally the final shot is the first monster gets dropped down from space into like the water, and it's like, oh, I guess that connects it. And it's like, if you watch the movie, you can tell that this has nothing to do with Cloverfield. They just add little stuff to be like, it's in the same universe. Yeah.
They just hitched their wagon to that star.
Pretty much, yes.
That's a good way to put it.
It wasn't good. It was really bad. It's like the worst one out of the three movies. At least 10 Cloverfield Lane had good acting with John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. The last one was
John Goodman. Yes.
Yep. It's just the last one was not good. I don't know. I don't know about Cloverfield's sequel. I think its time has passed.
Yeah, I think that's like a lot of films now, that being one of them. I'm saying to myself, do we really need like another Cloverfield thing? That's how I feel about the Star Wars stuff. We have so much Star Wars stuff coming out, and I'm just like, do we need more of that stuff now?
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong, I love The Mandalorian, but, geez.
You have to wash away the Disney stink.
Have y'all watched WandaVision yet?
Oh, yes.
I haven't.
Oh, I love it. I think that's how, going back to the Snyder Cut stuff, I think that's how it should be, like, you know, in terms of episode length. But anyways, yes, I love WandaVision. I think it's really, really great so far. I'm just shocked what happened in the most recent episode.
How many episodes have you seen, Kristin?
I've seen all 4 at the moment.
See, I've only seen 3. They only sent 3 out for review.
Okay.
So I saw the first 3. And I felt like the first episode, which everybody's had a chance to see by now, it was just like it was there and you didn't know what was going on.
I think that was the intention for them to have, because now it's all being shown in the most recent episode. Because what's about to happen, the 4th episode really didn't have whatchamacallit, Elizabeth Olsen in it that much. It mostly focused on what's going on outside of that universe that they're in. And they brought back a certain character from the Thor universe.
Well, somebody told me, or I got some publicity on it, but said the first episode was set in the 50s, the second episode was set in the 60s, the third episode was set in the 70s, the 4th episode was going to be the 80s.
Yeah, it wasn't set in the 80s for the 4th episode. Spoiler alert. Probably the next one will be set in the 80s. So.
And you just had no interest in it?
No, not really. It seemed like my cup of tea. Like I do have a theory though. I feel like that this series takes place during the moments when she was killing Vision in Avengers. What was it? Infinity War, and she's like imagining a alternate life with him. Like that's what I think. It's gonna reveal like, oh, it was just an illusion. It was all a dream. But no, I just didn't feel like watching it.
Now that's a unique take on it.
Because it just makes sense, because she can alter reality, so why can't like she envision a life with Vision in that moments before she destroyed the stone in his head in Infinity War.
Well, it's been proven, that you can have those thoughts and have a whole different dimension through your thoughts. So anybody who you think is dead can come back to life because of certain elements. So they're not limited by any exaggeration of what the mind can conceive.
There is a theory I heard that this show might introduce the X-Men into the MCU. Or it could...
I don't think so. I think it's going to lead into...
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange, definitely.
Because they said like the last episode might be the opening of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
And Benedict Cumberbatch would be Doctor Strange?
Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
So everybody signed on to do more, so that's what matters to me, and I'll be watching.
Is there a lot of, I came along when X-Men was huge, with Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, Halle Berry, etc. Is there much interest in the X-Men universe among people today?
I would say maybe Deadpool, because he's part of that universe, but he's not in the X-Men, so he's like the most popular of that franchise. But there has been like calls to like bring the X-Men and like cast them into the limelight. But I think they've diminished down a bit because X-Men Apocalypse was bad, then Dark Phoenix was Dark Phoenix was a disaster.
Yeah,
New Mutants was
the way I feel to it. I feel like that there's just not people saying, "Oh gosh, when are we going to get the new X-Men or the young X-Men?"
I think the only other thing is, I would say positive that has the fan base really that can be said is Wolverine. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. I think more people want to bring that character back.
Fantastic. Yeah, but Hugh Jackman says he's not going to do it anymore.
No, and that he had an epic conclusion with that Wolverine film, which he totally deserved. It was so good.
I thought it was great.
It was an excellent film. and wonderfully adapted.
Okay, I'm not trying to put my own projection in here to the news, but I've got a question because I feel like y'all are in on the news. I hear that Chris Evans is in talks to return as Captain America.
I think that would be for the What If series. Maybe
voice acting, yeah. Because he tweeted out.
Because I don't see him coming back. I don't know what it would be for then.
And he tweeted out. He said that's news to me on Twitter. So he's like,
"Oh, he did it."
Yeah, he's like, "I'm coming back." I didn't hear that.
I read and they said, they're in negotiations with Chris Evans to return as Captain America, and I thought, oh my gosh, are they going to go back and show his life?
Again,
yeah,
like before that, because that's what they did in the Avenger film for Captain America, but they told that story for him. That was the reason why he got that first movie and was released in the first place. But I don't see him coming back. His story has been told. It was concluded really well in Endgame. And the only reason why I could only see him coming back is if it's for What If. And I think that will be a lot heavily focused on. And maybe it's just to do some voice work.
Y'all are mentioning something to me I don't know about. Is there a possibility of a What If series?
Yeah,
yes,
that's
it's
what
coming
the
out.
series is called. It's actually an animated series that's going to be on Disney Plus.
Okay.
And most recent, they have like a whole bunch of the previous stars from
movies,
the films coming from it, and Chadwick Boseman is actually taking part in one of the episodes.
Yeah, he recorded some lines before he passed away.
It's going to be a Black Panther sequel, but without his character or anything. So, have y'all heard about that?
Yeah, they said that they would focus on Shuri more, but then they said they were going to focus on Wakanda and tell the story of like Wakanda as a whole, like nation, and kind of just be like, hey, he's part of Wakanda, but like we gotta like they're not going to recast him. They're probably going to let Black Panther retire or like move on to Shuri, like many people were saying they would, and like she's going to be like she would be the new Black Panther. She could be like something on her own. It could create like a new original character.
Okay. I think that's the best idea for that film to begin with, and I think I'm still back and forth on this idea of Michael B. Jordan, coming back. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't
want that.
I think I think he was the best character in Black Panther to begin with.
I really like him as an actor.
He's outstanding, and
he's hit or miss for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I love him in Creed, but I didn't like him in That Awkward Moment. Remember that movie with Zac Efron?
Yeah.
That movie was just so trash. But anyways, he's improved in my book. But yeah.
I like him in the Rocky movie.
Me too.
Yeah, same. Creed
I'm
is
excited
awesome.
to see what he's got planned for Creed 3.
Yeah, I really did. He was perfect. And there was an earlier film he made based on a true event about a guy who was killed by the police.
Oh, yes.
Fruitvale Station.
That's an excellent film.
I love that movie.
That's an excellent film. That movie does not get enough talk, I don't think, to begin with. And that movie should have earned him an Oscar nomination.
Yes, absolutely. And who played his mother? Was it Octavia Spencer played his mother? Or?
Yes, it was. It was his mother.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't mean to just interject everything.
No,
it's okay.
No, we love having more commentary on the news. This is great for us. That was great.
So Kristin, you got one more news?
Yes, we have our one last news story. So, and this is actually going to tie into our next conversation, and regarding in terms of the Broadway, we have heard the news. Let me pull it up again. The film adaptation of Dear Evan Hansen will be getting a release date on September 24th, 2021, and Universal is set to release it in theaters with a wide theatrical release. So, my question is, are we ready to return to theaters with a musical adaptation of Dear Evan Hansen, or should it be put on a streaming service like Hulu, or maybe Universal sell it to Netflix?
I have no idea what that is.
You don't know Dear Evan Hansen?
Nope.
Are you familiar with it, Mr. Cooper?
Oh, yes.
All right, so why don't you explain to Mac, if you can, a little bit about Dear Evan Hansen, because I know some of it, but I'm not a go-home fan.
I'm trying to think. My mind went blank as you were talking about the kid who won the Tony for Dear Evan Hansen and is going to be starring in the movie as Evan Hansen. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
Oh, Ben Platt.
Ben Platt.
Oh.
But in the announcement that you were looking at, I think I saw the same thing. It's also going to have Julianne Moore, Amy Adams, one of my favorite actresses, who is Caitlin Dever. Are y'all familiar with her?
Oh, I love Caitlin Dever. I've been
love
watching her since Last Man Standing, when she was just one of the young daughters of Tim Allen in that series.
And she was on Justified, which is one of my all-time favorite streaming series with Timothy Olyphant.
Oh, I love him too.
You need to watch Justified. She is so good in that. It's one of her earlier. She's not that old right now. She's probably in her, mid-20s.
She's around our age, Mac.
Oh, wow.
So, and then she was in Booksmart too.
Yes. With what was the girl's name? Bibi
Feldstein, Jonah Hill's younger sister.
You know, she does look like Jonah Hill. I was wondering why she looked familiar.
I didn't know it until I saw Booksmart.
Yeah. And she is there. Brian Murphy is doing, he does all the TV stuff, American Horror Story and all that on Netflix. He is doing the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky story. And whatever name Feldstein, Benny, is playing Monica Lewinsky.
Going back to Dear Evan Hansen, it tells the story of a high school senior with the social anxiety disorders and his journey of self-discovery and acceptance following the suicide of a fellow classmate. It's the first I really know about the plot, because I just knew about the.
I know he has a broken arm in it, because when he was on Broadway, every picture I saw of Ben Platt, he had a broken arm.
It was when Dear Evan Hansen came out. It was during the time. I'm gonna do a little story time. I saw Jake Gyllenhaal on Broadway when he was in Sunday in the Park with George.
You actually saw that?
Oh yeah, that was.
Oh my gosh!
I was right in the second row. I could look Jake Gyllenhaal right in the eyes, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, hi!"
That's Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah, it was a wonderful musical. Best Broadway experience ever. But anyways,
I have listened to the soundtrack with Mandy Patinkin and Bernadette Peters from the original cast.
Yeah,
tremendous. But let me say this real quickly. You just said that Dear Evan Hansen would be released in September of 2021. So
this year.
This year.
Yeah, so
in September of this year, have they already made this movie?
It sounds like they have already been in production with it, given the fact of the whole cast. And it sounds like the majority of the cast, I don't know where they're filming this, but it sounds like it's maybe New York or something like that. That's what I'm thinking.
But I'm just thinking it's such a short window.
Yeah, I think
in February, and it's going to be released in September. That's not a lot of time.
Yeah.
I feel like they're rushing it. That's the one thing, because we just learned about. I remember learning about Amy Adams joining the cast literally over the summer, and this being adapted. I think they just want to push it out there because of what we're going to talk about today, how successful what the prom was, and they're really pushing it out there. But I am excited to see what Stephen Chbosky is going to tell with the story, because the director has previously directed The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Love that movie.
Outstanding movie and book, and directed Wonder.
I didn't like that.
What about the little boy going to school?
Yep.
Who had facial dysplasia or whatever. Oh, and Julia Roberts was in that as the mother.
Yes.
I did not like that movie.
Why do you not like it, Mac?
Oh, my
heart.
parents watched it over Thanksgiving weekend, and my mother cried. And I still haven't seen it yet, but I've read the book. The book is really good too.
It didn't hit me. I was like, oh well, that's unfortunate. But I'm like, it didn't get me.
But yeah, he is going to be directing the movie. I don't know where this movie is being filmed, or but it should be an interesting film. I think it's very soon to be releasing it. I feel like
a Hamilton type thing where they just went and filmed the Broadway.
No, it's definitely going to be like an actual set.
I'm excited for that. In the Heights is supposed to be coming out.
Oh yeah.
And West Side Story, the remake, is going to be coming out. So a lot of musicals coming out.
Yeah, a lot of musicals are coming out, and I feel like having this be released in theaters will make or break musicals and theaters, because now In the Heights will be released on HBO Max, and we had The Prom released on Netflix. So, and a lot of people tuned into The Prom on Netflix, and that only could be said what can happen for In the Heights. So,
and in the team of musical writers from La La Land, which you have over your right shoulder, aren't they connected with Meet Evan Hansen?
I don't think so, but I should double check. I don't know. That's a good question.
I heard they were.
If they are, then I'm very, very excited. I was excited to begin with, but I just don't know how I feel about this being in theaters, just coming out just yet. So,
from the synopsis, it sounds like a lighter version of 13 Reasons Why.
It does sound like a connection. I agree, Matt.
But let's see. Passaic and Paul. So they are...
They were connected with La La Land.
No, those guys aren't connected with La La Land. They are most... Oh, what? Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Ha-ha!
My bad.
The old guy knew something.
You did good.
See, now you can be even more excited, though, Kristin.
I was already excited to begin with, because I liked the cast to begin with, and I was going to watch it regardless. But I really actually wanted to see Dear Evan Hansen on Broadway. I just never got to. And the tickets for that show were so expensive. I was like, I can't afford this.
Wasn't Ben Platt in the Pitch Perfect movies?
Yeah, he was. He was the girl, not the girl, the love interest of Haley Steinfeld.
Okay. I just knew I remembered him from that.
Yeah, that's all the news that we have at the moment. So...
I love this segment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm learning stuff.
We enjoy this segment, and I hope you guys enjoyed the segment too. But now we're going to move into today's movie review, which is The Prom.
Hello, interweb. My name is Emma Nolan, and I'm 17. You might have heard about The Prom in Indiana.
I just want to go to prom like any other kid.
All opposed.
I know we all have stories to tell, and here's mine.
Oh my gosh, check this out. It's all over Twitter. She wanted to take her girlfriend to the high school prom. And the PTA went apeshit and they canceled it.
We have got to go down there.
Yes.
And raise holy hell.
We will be the biggest thing to happen in Indiana since whatever's happened in Indiana.
Great, guys. So let's talk The Prom. Okay, for those who don't know, it was directed by Ryan Murphy and stars Nicole Kidman, James Corden, Meryl Streep, Keegan-Michael Key, Andrew Rydell, Kerry Washington, and introduces Joe Allen Pellman, which I'm not too familiar with it. She's breaking onto the scene, but it was about a troupe of hilariously self-absorbed theater stars swarm into a small conservative Indiana town in support of a high school girl who wants to take her girlfriend to the prom. And this is the film that Mr. Cooper decided to review with us today. It came out back in December of 2020, December 4th, and now we're finally talking about it. And it did actually, I should note, it did have a theatrical release, just a very limited.
So much liked about it is it was just a celebration. I mean, it was a feel-good movie. It took a good theme, it was about this group of actors who in their careers, James Corden, Meryl Streep, Nicole Kidman, their careers were kind of, Andrew Rannells, their careers on Broadway were kind of not going like they wanted to, and so they said, we need to pick a charity. To make us look good, make people want to see us again. It's completely not for the benefit of the goodness or the charity. It's because they want to get the publicity. And so somebody hears about this girl in Indiana who wants to go to the prom, but she wants to take her girlfriend, and the school says she can't, and they'll shut the prom down if she persists with trying to come with, the same sex, partner. And so these people, these actors, go to Indiana and stage a rally for the girl to try to convince the town. The school board's led by Kerry Washington, and the sympathetic principal is played by Keegan-Michael Key. And but they stage a rally to get the girl to be able to go to the prom with who she wants. And I thought the theme was good. I thought the music was good. I thought the acting was good. It didn't, it wasn't heavy-handed. And I remember it was just celebratory. It was just a feel-good movie that you felt good about the people, you felt good about the story, you felt good about the songs, and you came away from it feeling triumphant in some way. How about that?
Now, I saw it the weekend.
But sleep halfway through it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Max sleeping through it halfway through. I saw this, and I actually reviewed this on my Instagram if you guys want to see more of my review. But I did watch it opening weekend in the comfort of my home, watched it on Netflix, and I just thought it was just okay. I didn't love it as much, but I remember seeing so much hype because I saw people like Billy Lord and Demi Lovato talk about it, so I knew this is something I had to watch. And watching it, I thought it started out really great with the opening numbers changing lives. The opening number with James Corden and Meryl Streep, I thought that had a lot of Broadway pizzazz and sizzle and zazazz, as what they like to refer to in the movie. Like it had all that, but then it lost me right after that song, Dance With You. I thought that was such a sweet number, and that was probably like 30 minutes into the film, and then I was like, all right, can we get moving on the story here? Like, I get it. And then all of a sudden, what really threw me off was I knew I wasn't going to this movie was going to have issues. And that was where, now we're going to talk some spoilers, was when they had that second prom. Like, I was like, we're going through this really nice and smoothly. I'm enjoying for what it is. The girl's going to show up, her date's going to show up, straightforward. And I thought it was going to be great. But then seeing it, her girlfriend doesn't show up, and nobody shows up to the second prom. It's
the alternate,
the alternate prom. It really threw me off, and I was like, wait, we were set for this whole thing, but then we're left with another like an hour and like 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And I felt the film really dragged out, in my opinion, but I just felt it was going downhill, and there was just like so many characters that I just didn't really have an interest in. And one of the issues that I felt this film had was forcing in a relationship with Keegan-Michael Key and Meryl Streep,
that was off center. She was they're both good, but they weren't right together, age-wise, whatever.
Yeah, I just didn't age didn't matter to me. I just felt like it felt forced. I saw them more as like a friendship, but the film felt it was forcing on this idea of this relationship that she needs to have this man in order for her to be happy. But yet she had this really strong supportive group of friends. She had that teenage girl she was trying to help out, and she was all about her, not being self-absorbed. And, she learns that, and then she's like, all right, I really like this guy, which is fine, but I'm just like, you can do so much better. Not so much better, but it doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But Matt, what was
their
one of
relationship going to go? That was what I got. He's a high school principal. She's a Broadway star. You know.
Yeah. And then, Mac, you fell asleep for this movie.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, Mac.
How did you fall
I
asleep?
loved it.
What part were you like, this is not for me, time to tune out?
But I thought the Andrew Rannells, remember the thing in the mall, the music number in the mall?
Yeah.
Where, Love Thy Neighbor or whatever it was. I just thought that was such a dynamic song.
That was a great scene.
Yeah, it was choreographed fantastically. I liked the music or whatever. I want to mention, we mentioned the girl who played the girl who wanted to go, what was her name?
Joe Allen. Hellman.
Yeah. I liked her, but I liked her girlfriend better.
Oh, really?
Adriana DuBose.
Yes.
Because to me, I'm still, Wicked is supposed to be made into a movie this year.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Adriana DuBose would make a fantastic Elphaba.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Matter of fact, I wrote Kristin Chenoweth. She and Adrian DuBose are good friends. And on her Twitter account, I put, Adriana would make a great Elphaba. And I got quite a few likes and agreements on that.
But I really want to know what's going on with Mac and falling asleep. What made you fall asleep? At what scene?
The freaking opening scene. I was so bored after that. This movie was like, I can see the appeal, but I'm just like, this is so boring. Like, I'm sick of musicals. Musicals have become too oversaturated in like just everything. I'm burnt out. I'm like, I would say I give this movie credit. It was not as boring as Hamilton, but God, that was not anything.
Hamilton was boring.
Controversial opinion here.
I did not like Hamilton, and then I'm like, this movie is like, it was like all right because I woke up and I did finish it, but it's just like I feel like this was Footloose, but with Broadway.
Of like the idea of somebody not taking the idea, like banning this idea or this ideology.
Yeah.
They have a similar core basis.
Yeah, and it's like a someone
thing against gay couples, etc. The more traditional against the new.
This is like a fan version of Footloose. Someone's like, I want to make a Footloose, but I want to make it like in modern day because, like, come on, what town's going to ban dancing in 2021?
All right,
Matt, 2020.
Have you ever liked a musical?
High School Musical 2. And
yes!
Rent. But mostly Rent.
You like Rent?
Yes, I do. I like the Broadway and I like the movie.
I need to comment also on James Corden. I wasn't crazy.
I'm sick of him.
In this film, I just felt he was the wrong casting choice.
I'm sorry, Kristin, but like I'm sick of him. I want him to like do indie movies, come back, and like have a triumphant return. He's so oversaturated. Like, okay, you're the funny British guy. Like, okay, we get it. And then like he did an Emoji Movie. He was terrible in that. He was in Cats. He was terrible in that. It's like he does these roles. It's just like, God, you're turning into the British Josh Gad. Like, get out of here.
Like he also was Peter Rabbit. Remember?
Yeah, he was Peter Rabbit.
It's the voice of Peter Rabbit.
Well, I like Peter Rabbit, but like him in live action is just like he needs to stop for a little bit.
He's good at live action, except in the Emoji Movie. Let's say that.
And Cats.
I can see where you say he's oversaturated though.
Because he's everywhere.
He's also in Trolls too. I forgot too. I realized.
He's the new Russell Brand. He's just everywhere.
I feel like they make him the Ricky Gervais comedian that they wanted to turn Ricky Gervais into, starring in like all those movies. Mm-hmm. But he's like, all right, I'm gonna do all these films because they'll make my kids happy, and it makes me realize he's also gonna be in Cinderella.
Oh God.
And
900th version.
Yeah, we're gonna get so many Cinderella versions, but yeah, I'm surprised how much stuff he's been in the last year, and I think this is definitely one of his weaker roles, but it's better. The film is better than some of his other films that he was released in.
Cats.
But yeah, oh, definitely Cats.
Wasn't that terrible? Wasn't that just the worst thing you ever saw?
It's not the worst film I've ever
It's just
seen,
horrifying.
but it is slightly terrifying, and I just don't know how to come back from that. I think that was just a nightmare.
It was just bad.
Oh yeah,
It
Tom
was.
does not know how to come back from that one.
I had never been a big fan of the musical play Cats. So
It scared me as a child. And here's a fun story. I don't know if we talked about this story on the podcast, but when I was like a child or so, like eons ago, I had this Barney tape, and in this Barney tape there was a commercial to advertise Cats, and they showed close-ups of all these shots of people singing the songs, and it scared me every time when I watched the commercial because it looked like people were in pain.
Mm-hmm.
I was in pain. Watching it.
So I was just like, why are they showing this commercial to me for Barney? And I would fast forward that commercial every time I would watch this Barney tape, and I knew I wasn't going to be a fan of Cats ever since.
With Prom, I did say I did enjoy the music. It was very well done with some of the songs. That was bopping my head to some of them. That was a good score. I would definitely. I would like. This is one of the rare movies that be like, let me go look up some of the songs online and I'll listen to it in my free time.
Yeah. Have you listened to the soundtrack ever since?
Oh,
no.
Yeah.
I haven't really listened to it, but I did see a lot of advertisements for it on, just watching it on TV and them playing the final song in the film.
Well, I have to say, and this is, if y'all aren't at this point, you will get to this point. But they sent me the soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So it was like, oh my gosh, I can just put this in the car and whenever I'm going somewhere, just flip it on because I like the music. I really do. And so the more I heard it, the more I liked it.
Did you have a favorite song from that film, or what was your favorite sequence?
In the movie, it was probably the sequence with Meryl Streep with the cape.
Right.
And her voice was really strong in that. I thought she did a good job in Mamma Mia, but I didn't think she had the strongest voice. But in Prom, her voice was like Patti LuPone or somebody like that.
I will say that I agree with you on that. I am not crazy about Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia.
I will say she does. I would prefer her performance in the Prom than over Mamma Mia, and her voice over this one over Mamma Mia. Even though I'm not crazy about both. My favorite sequence in that whole film was Love Thy Neighbor. I think Andrew Rydell really, really did a really good job. Andrew Rydell is just a boring performer to begin with. So.
No, I've seen when he did the Book of Mormon on Broadway.
Oh, I actually like that play.
His performance in that I thought was great. Kristin, I really did. And I've seen him do some of the songs, from the Book of Mormon. He's terrific. Maybe it's just the right time at the right role. But I thought, he was really strong in that. Worst musical number in the show.
Worst musical number? I think it would have to be the one. Anything that's really toned down. I think I guess the Untruly Heart, where she's singing on her bed. I felt like that scene went on for so long, and that song went on for so long.
What I didn't like was the Nicole Kidman number.
I thought that one was pretty good, but I think that one could have been cut.
I don't know why that one just annoyed me. And I'm a big Nicole Kidman fan. I love Moulin Rouge is one of my favorite.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh,
I didn't get why this had to be 2 hours long. I feel like they could have told the story maybe 90 minutes.
Yes.
Probably
that was what my conflict was, where they had the whole setup for that story, and then it turns out they had that other prom, and then we had to start all over again, starting another prom, and I'm just like, we don't need to continue to have another prom. Just have the girl leave, and things would be over,
And I think
loved it.
Yeah, still love it. That's fine. It has its audience. That's which makes me happy, and it tells a really innocent story, and it's really powerful in its ways. And I don't mind it, but it's not my It wasn't my favorite movie from 2020. But
what was? What was y'all?
It was for you, which makes me happy. As long as it makes somebody really enjoyed it, that's what makes me.
Did y'all have a favorite movie from last year?
Oh
The
yeah,
Invisible Man for me.
Mine was Prom. Oh, Max said The Invisible
The
Man.
Invisible Man.
Oh, The Invisible Man, Elizabeth Moss.
Yes.
Dang.
And I really enjoyed my favorite of 2020, and the only film I gave an A+ to was Promising Young Woman.
See, and you were good. This is completely against everything everybody says. I thought Carey Mulligan was miscast.
What?
I did not buy her in that role.
She's the main actress, right, in that movie?
Yes.
Okay.
I just didn't. I was watching it and I thought there's just something off. She doesn't seem right for this part. I don't know. She didn't have the vengeance in her enough for me. To me, she looked older than the part required.
I thought maybe that could have. I didn't see a movie yet. I'm gonna plan to, but from the trailers, it looks like maybe that role could have gone to maybe Elizabeth Banks or something. I feel like she could.
Elizabeth Banks would have been way too much older. But maybe somebody like Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
She would have been around Bo Burnham's age. But I thought Carey Mulligan was perfect though in that movie.
Or a Juno Temple.
Juno Temple. Yeah. That would have gotten her more recognition, but I think Carey Mulligan had that sprinkle in to get her in that Oscar bait, and I think she's going to be nominated for an Oscar. And speaking of Oscars, do you see Meryl Streep getting nominated for her performance in this film, Mr. Cooper?
I don't.
Okay.
Me either.
I know there's, Meryl Streep is Meryl Streep, and Meryl Streep gets nominated for everything, but it was an ensemble cast, and to me, they all played off each other well. But it was not something that just spotlighted her performance.
I think, if anything, she'll get some kind of recognition at Golden Globe, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because they separate musicals. They don't do the acting categories, but they're more inclined to recognize performances in musicals.
I think she'll get nominated for that, but she won't win it.
I think the one reason why I like this is I'm not a fan of Ryan Murphy. I kind of think he's overrated as a producer director, because he does do some quality stuff. I do like the earlier seasons of American Horror Story, but his philosophy is I'm gonna take on 1,000 things at once, and I'm gonna see which ones I'll get done first. And I don't know. He has a little bit more misses for me than hits.
Okay.
Well, they're gonna now. He's at Netflix, and Shonda Rhimes is at Netflix, and it's like a race is on to who can get out the most product, because she's got 79 things in development at Netflix, and he's got.
And so does Ryan Murphy. He released
they're kind
so much stuff this last year. So, I didn't watch the Ratched series or the Hollywood series that he did, but I did watch The Boys in the Band, which I actually preferred over The Prom. I really enjoyed The Boys in the Band.
Yeah.
Well, I think they should focus over quality over quantity and not try to hit a quota, because you're gonna end up just pumping out generic movie number 8 on Netflix, and it'll get buried in the pile.
Well, like I said, he's got the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky thing going.
That's going to be good at FX.
And then they're going to have another American Horror series coming up.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And did either one of y'all watch Bridgerton?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Did you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I did.
I got a lot of stuff to catch up on Netflix. I'm behind.
I'm just keeping up now. I mean, not even keeping up, just staying in the game is hard to do, because there's so much stuff out there.
There is.
And I review probably 5 movies a week, and sometimes it's a series, streaming series, so I'm watching 8 one-hour episodes to do the whole thing, and just having the time. And I still do a book review a week, and still try to do some television stuff. There's more entertainment out there than you can imagine. I mean, we're oversaturated, as James would say.
Zazzle.
And we'll end on that note, and I want to get into our Q&A.
All right,
guys. Now it's time for a little segment. We're just gonna have a little Q&A with Mr. Cooper, and we're just gonna ask him some questions. I on my Instagram posted an announcement saying we were gonna have him on, and I got quite a few questions from I shouldn't say live. We don't have anybody live, but from Mr. Cooper's fans. So, my first question, if I can find my screenshot, let's see.
I'm waiting apprehensively.
Okay, so our first question comes from Matt.Walker with 3 R's. Outside of movies, what are your other hobbies?
Outside of movies, what are your other hobbies? I read. I'm locked into entertainment, but I read. I watch TV. I love cooking shows on television. I don't cook, but I watch people cook all this stuff, and I think I could do that. But I have 2 sons, and I've got 4 grandchildren, so that's a big part of my life. And Matt is a good follower of mine on YouTube who asked the question, and I would just give a shout out to Matt. And basically, movies are the thing. I have my family, but my outside activities basically is entertainment.
So, and you recently had some guests on for your channel. With some interviews with books, some authors. Who did you have on recently?
Well, it was real funny with COVID, and authors cannot go out on book tours or anything. And so I don't know why, but one day last summer, I thought, gee, I've been reading Daniel Silva's books. He writes about a character named Gabriel Alon, and they're supposed to be making a whole series of books into a TV series, kind of like Bosch or something like that. And I just decided I wanted to interview Daniel Silva. It's just like, and I wrote to somebody who referred me to somebody who referred me to somebody else. And it was kind of, when I finally got in touch with his people, it was kind of tentative, okay, maybe, but he actually agreed to sit down for like a 30-minute interview. And we got such good response to it that we followed that up with Karen Slaughter, who's another favorite author of mine. We did Faye Kellerman, and then we did John Hart recently, and we're working right now on an interview with Harlan Coben, whose books have been made into series on Netflix. I don't know if y'all watched the album The Five, Stranger. You need to look them up. They're good adaptations. They're miniseries, and it's just kind of taken off. And I love talking to people. I mean, I've loved talking to y'all today. It's just, it's just a conversational type interview.
We only had one author and director on. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Oak Anderson.
What did he write?
He wrote a book called On This Day. It's a Homeland thriller series, and we haven't read it yet, but he's a good friend of ours for the podcast. So shout out to Mr. Oak Anderson. We miss you, man. But yeah, he's a good friend of ours. It sounds like you don't just review from your own book stuff. You just do almost a little bit of everything on your channel. Because I also saw that you also took on music, and I saw a video that you did your top 5 favorite female, I think, performances, I believe it was.
Let me tell you, Maxwell, the guy who discovered me, Maxwell is constantly giving me suggestions. I don't know if y'all get this or not. If you have friends who say, if your podcast would really be better if you do this, or your podcast would be better if you did that. But Maxwell, God bless him, is forever saying to me, you need to do this, you need to do that. And one of the things that Maxwell is really big on is list. He thinks if you name your top 5 spaghetti sauces, that would be great. He just believes in lists, and so he was the one who came up. And, we did the top 10 movies or all-time favorite movies, whatever. And then he said, okay, your top 5 actors, your top 5 actresses, and that's okay. And then he said, okay, who your top 5 female singers, who your top 5 male singers. So he's the one who comes up with all that. And they've gotten good responses because everybody has an opinion.
Everybody does, and everybody's very curious to see what makes people's lists. Like when we just did ours, we just made our top 10 movies of 2020 and our worst movies of 2020. And people are always curious to see what people's likes and dislikes are. So I totally agree with making lists. It's a good way to make content.
Yeah.
So, Mac, do you have any questions before we move on to our next audience question?
Mm-mm.
Okay, we have another question from Natalia Oksana. So, she gave us 2 questions. What do you like the most about making your YouTube videos and sharing with them?
I like giving my opinion. People will say to me or have said to me, what makes your opinion any better than anybody else's? What makes you a film critic, per se? And I said, we're all critics. We're all film critics if you have an opinion. You're Kristin, Mac, your opinions are just as valid as mine. I just was lucky enough to get, I was in newspapers, I was on television, I was on radio. I got the opportunity to give my opinions more than other people get. But it doesn't make my opinion better than yours. It's just my opinion. And I think that I enjoy that. I love the give and take, the responses. First thing I do every day when I go to the comments section on YouTube. I want to hear what people have to say, what they're talking about, that type of thing. I love the opportunity that gives me to do shows like this. This is probably a whole different audience in some ways than the one I've been exposed to. So, I'm doing a radio show in Mississippi Monday morning. It's called The Mighty Mess. But they invited me to come on and talk. So, there are all kind of opportunities that I wouldn't get. We do this thing on Instagram, Jackie K. Cooper 77, which is where I am. But we do Mailbag Mondays because I get so much stuff from the studios. Have y'all seen a movie on Amazon called I'm Your Woman?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. They sent me an alarm clock, and I've yet to figure out what an alarm clock has to do with that movie.
They just like sending out merch. We don't get that stuff. So.
And then on one that's coming up, this coming Monday, out in the box, and we've already filmed it, and it was a diffuser. I didn't even know what a diffuser was. Do y'all know what that is?
Yeah, it's usually used for like tea.
Oh, that was bomb diffuser.
Well, this has a glass base, and they sent these oils or something, perfume or whatever, to put into it.
Oh no, diffuser is the oil thing. It's like where you make your plants smell good.
Yeah, and it's got a garden.
I have one here. So, but mine's a little cactus.
Yes. Well, this has a gardenia on the top with a stem down into it. And the gardenia is because it's from the movie The United States versus Billie Holiday.
That's so cute. I like that. That's a good tie-in.
She wore a gardenia in her hair. That was one of her trademarks.
I want to see that movie. I like the documentary that came out.
But anyway, so we opened it up, and I'm like, I don't even know what it is. And AG, the intern, said, no, and she put it together. But anyway, you get stuff like that. It's terrific. I mean, it really is. So,
it's fun to get stuff like that. I mean, I haven't gotten stuff like that. We don't get that kind of stuff. We don't have that kind of clout, but
no, you will. You wait.
Then one day our shot will come back.
That's right. I'm absolutely. Hope you don't have to wait till you're as old as I am, but but it's great. I mean, I opened up the other day, and they had sent me the CDs of Wonder Woman, The Way Back, Jesus and the Black Messiah, and I forget what, The Father. But they just send you the movies to review and have. It's amazing. In my wildest dreams as a little boy in South Carolina who loved to go to the movies, I never dreamed that I would have this kind of opportunity. So your dreams can't be limited. Anything can happen.
My next question is for you. You have said that you've been on TV, you've got to write in newspapers, so you've been everywhere. Who has been probably your favorite guest or celebrity that you got to interview? Because you have interviewed The Rock and Will Ferrell. Who has been like the most staple in your career and been like, that's an interview I'll never forget, and I hope to visit this, not visit, but like we hope to have another discussion with this person one day?
Julia Roberts, who I've interviewed maybe 4 or 5 times. Wow. I just love her. She's from Georgia. She was a huge star. I mean, her career's kind of slowed down some, but she was huge. And the fact that we were both from Georgia, I would go to California for our press junket, and she would say, here's my Georgia, writer or whatever. So she was unbelievably nice.
Aww.
And I really, really think that she's great. Also, I have to give credit, John Travolta. I've interviewed him many times, and I don't know if he has somebody whispering in his ear, saying, okay, this is Jackie Cooper, and he's interviewed you 2 times or 3 times. Because every time I would meet him, he'd say, Jackie, how are you? How's the family? This, that, and the other.
Aww.
And made it so personal, and just, if he had somebody feeding the information, I don't care, because he made you feel like, man, I remember you, last time we talked. I'm so glad to see you again. So,
John Travolta's a fan favorite on our podcast. Matt could certainly say that.
Yeah, The Fanatic is his greatest movie.
Have you seen that?
Love that movie. He should have gotten more recognition for that movie.
It's a movie that we love to just loathe over.
It's funny.
It's a funny role. It's not our favorite role, but
I just think he does a good job, because he seemed like that, that semi-crazy stalker. His career's gone down a little from where he was, but just a great, gave you a personal feeling of being involved in the interview. I've had others who kind of tuned out, and you have to pull them back in.
That's awesome.
Next question.
All right, next question. So Natalia as well, same person. What made you start YouTube in the first place? Which was my question for you too, which was, why start the YouTube channel? Because you've been everywhere. Why start your channel?
Okay.
Said that because you've been around for a while.
Good question. Natalia?
Natalia?
Natalia. Gosh. Several years ago, I was a lawyer, and I retired. I worked for the government, retired, and I had been on all the television stations, doing movie reviews. It's a part-time thing. I'd written my first book, but I really thought I was just going to slow down because I'd retired. I had, check coming in. I could just relax or whatever. And I had been writing for the Huffington Post. That had ended. And I got a call from this company, one of the local cable companies. And they said, hey, we wanted to come to you. We have our own cable channel in Middle Georgia. How about doing a movie entertainment show? And I said, no, I'm retired. I'm not going to do it. And they said, no, really, we have a studio. It's only like 30 miles away from you. We'll have all the equipment. All you got to do is just come over and film the show. We'll take care of everything else. And I said, no, I'm retired. And they said, well, think about it. So I didn't. But they called back and they said, we really want you to do this entertainment show. And I said, look, I don't want to have to drive, 30 miles to do it. And they said, well, if you want to, you can film it at your house. And so I talked to my son, who lives in the town that I do, and he said, yeah, he had taught, stuff with equipment and filming videos and all. And he said, we can film it, Dad. We can get it done, and we'll just send them the link or whatever. So they called me again and said, have you thought any more about it? And I said, yeah, but I want to film it here, and 30 minutes. And and I said, and I won't. And I gave them just a crazy amount of money, not huge, but crazy for me. And they said, okay. I mean, didn't bat an eye. Then I thought, why didn't I ask for more money? But anyway, so we started doing the Jackie K. Cooper show for the cable network. And out of that, we developed the 2-minute entertainment rundown, which was just highlights of the movies, and put it up on YouTube. And we did both shows, and I was still, every week I would put up my YouTube thing. It just was, somebody said that ought to be on YouTube. And I was like, okay. And it wasn't hard to do. And that's how I got started. And then the whole thing went viral and took off. And that's where I am today. That's
really cool. Because that's like real quick. That's like kind of how this whole podcast started, community college. I get signed up for the radio station. They're like, what do you do? I said, I love movies. It's like, well, we need some variety. So you want to review movies? Okay. Got started on the radio, local radio waves. Then went on YouTube. I found out you could record your episode in the booth. I uploaded it. It went well. So I said, let's try this.
It's just amazing how one thing follows another and leads to this.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's so great because you are somebody who obviously followed their passion for you, who loves movies at such a young age, like you said, living in South Carolina, and then now to be pursuing it. People love hearing what they're passionate about, and that's something that has always stuck with me. People love hearing what other people are passionate about. And for you, I think that's really great, and which is one of the reasons why I really enjoy watching your videos. So,
and Kristin, my big thing too in that is that I talk to too many people who told me if I had my life to do over, I would do this, this, and this. Well, my life, I wanted to get married, I wanted to have a family, I wanted to be able to provide for my family, and that was the basics. But then on top of that was I love movies. I was passionate about movies. So everything in my life with movies has been the whipped cream and the cherry on top of basically what I wanted, and people can. I practiced law for years. I just fell into it because that was a good career to have good income. But I was blessed enough to be able to do that and then start branching out into. When I wrote my first book, I had never thought about writing a book. I had been keeping a journal, just, different things I'd write in my journal about. We did this today. This was a funny story that happened, blah, 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 blah. And some friends of mine said, hey, you need to write a book, about your life. And I thought, who's interested in my life? And I hate to say this because people get upset, but I sent out 5 letters to 5 different publishers. And one of those 5 published my first book. And then that was Journey of a Gentle Southern Man. That was the #1 book. And then I called him up because I had more stories, and I said, hey, what about a second book? And he said, I'm going to retire. And I said, okay. He gave me the rights back to that book. And then within a month, I get a phone call from a lady in Atlanta, and she said, I just read your book. Have you ever thought about doing a second book? And I said, yeah, I really have. And she said, well, meet with me. And I met with her in Atlanta, and the contract she offered me was better than the one I'd had on the first book. Second book came out, And then a year later, I called her and I said, I'm ready for a third book. And she said, oh, I had meant to call you. I was going to call you later. I declared bankruptcy today.
Wow.
So 2 publishers had gone. And then somebody said, go talk to Mercer University Press. Mercer University is a college in Macon, Georgia. And they're kind of highbrow. And I thought they were going to fool with me. But I made an appointment. And I went. I talked to the publisher, Mark Jolly, great man, and I said, I've got these 2 books, and there's still life in these books. I really think people would still buy them. If Mercer would just reprint these 2 books, that would be great. And I remember he looked me in the eye and he said, Jackie, Mercer does not reprint anything we didn't print originally. And I was like, oh. And I said, but they're really good. They got all this life. I've never had an agent for my books. And he kept saying no. And so finally I quit wasting time and I was home. And a few days later, I get a phone call from Mark Jolly, and he said, you were so busy trying to get me to reprint those first 2 books. He said, don't you have anything new? And I said, well, I am working on some more stories. And he said, come in and talk to me about that. And so I went back in, and he signed me to a 3-book deal.
Wow.
Wow.
And he reprinted the first 2, and then we had a contract for 2 more, which took me up to book number 7, and I have a contract now for book number 8. And
that's crazy.
Based on just stories about my life. Jackie K. Cooper from Clinton, South Carolina. Who think anybody would want to read that?
I want to read it.
But it's amazing. But again, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't let, if you have a dream and people say that's the craziest dream I ever heard, it may be crazy to them, but it's not crazy to you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put yourself out there and go for your passion and go for your dream, because I am living proof. I grew up in Clinton, South Carolina. My father was a bread salesman for Burrito Bread. I had no connections to the industry or anything whatsoever. None. If it happened to me, happened to anybody.
That's really great. I love that story. That was probably like my favorite story I just heard today. So we got 2 more questions, and our next question comes from Pasta Forla 000, and their question is, who is someone that you would like to interview but you never had the chance to interview?
The biggest regret that I have was I always wanted to interview Elizabeth Taylor.
Wow.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Why did you regret that? Like, was there something that went along with it? Like, what was up?
I grew up with Elizabeth Taylor movies, and she was the most beautiful woman, aside from my wife, most beautiful woman in the world. And she was she every interview I saw, she was witty, she was terrific, and I kept getting opportunities, and then something would happen where I couldn't go, or she would cancel or whatever. So I never got to interview her, and she was just the one that got away that I really wanted.
That stinks. Yeah. Oh man, that would have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your favorite Elizabeth Taylor movie? Do you have a favorite?
Raintree County and Suddenly Last Summer.
I haven't seen any of those, but the only film I've seen of Elizabeth Taylor is Cleopatra. But that was mostly it.
Yeah.
So.
But you need to watch Suddenly Last Summer and Raintree County. Raintree County was in both those movies. She co-starred with Montgomery Clift.
Okay.
A big actor back in the day, and Raintree County was a story about a woman with mental problems, etc.
Okay.
And how she's searching for happiness, which is the golden rain tree in the forest.
Okay.
And then Suddenly Last Summer is based on a Tennessee Williams play.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So It's good. Katharine Hepburn, Montgomery Clift, and Elizabeth Taylor, and Mercedes McCambridge, which leads us also to the movie Giant, which is another favorite of mine. If you've never seen that, Mac, have you ever seen that?
No, Which movie was it again?
John.
No,
no, I haven't.
Giant.
Jack.
Oh, Giant.
Oh, Giant.
Oh, Giant. I thought you were saying Jack.
Me too. No, I haven't seen Giant.
You need to see it.
I've seen Big with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've interviewed Tom Hanks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I think I have a.
It's not real friendly.
Oh.
No.
Can we have some tea on this?
Huh?
Can you talk about this?
Yeah.
Like, what made him so unfriendly?
I had to drag every word out of him.
Oh, man.
It was like
no.
and everybody talks about he is the nicest guy in Hollywood. But the day I interviewed him, he was like, "Okay, let's get this over with."
Oh no.
I was gonna ask, like, who is like the least favorite person you like interacted with or interviewed?
Well, I did. I know these are stars from before your time, but do you know who Shirley MacLaine is?
Yes.
Okay.
I know who Shirley MacLaine is because I have seen a couple of her films. I first really knew her in Valentine's Day, that whatchamacallit, that film with all those celebrities in it, with like Taylor Lautner and Taylor Swift,
Oh, that one.
Ashton Kutcher. She's in that one, so that's why.
I interviewed her, and I was doing a TV interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting facing her like I'm facing y'all. And they've got, camera on me and a camera on her and a camera on both of us. And it's a 15-minute interview. And we get to like 10 minutes into the interview. I thought it was going pretty good. And she said, wait, you're shooting me from my wrong side.
Oh, no.
God.
I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, everybody has a right side and a wrong side, and I just realized you've got the camera in the wrong position. You're getting my wrong side. She said, we need to change the camera and start over.
Oh, no.
And I thought, come on, give me a break. But I will say we changed the camera angle. We started back. She treated everything like it was new and fresh and whatever. But I never knew, I don't know what the right side and wrong side is.
I feel like there can't always be a wrong side or right side unless you have something on your face. Then I could say why you want to film it. But if you don't have anything wrong with your face, then I'm like, just leave it.
Yeah, but she was determined that we were shooting her from the wrong side.
All right, guys, and our last question. Oh, if my phone didn't turn off. Hold on one second. Okay, so here we go. Our last question from Brian Van Man asks, what is your favorite actor and actress? And I think you basically said that with Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah, she was an all-time favorite. Julia Roberts, one of the best interviews I ever had, I will say this, and one of my favorite actors is Jodie Foster. And
I just watched her in that new film. What was that?
The Mauritanian?
Yes, I just watched that.
Yeah. She's good. But
I wasn't crazy about the film, but I like her, though, as an actress.
And I really didn't like the second female lead.
Oh, Shanley Woodley in that movie?
Not like her in that movie.
Yeah, I just thought she was just
Yeah. But Jodie Foster was the most, I don't mean to demean anybody else, but she was the most intelligent person I ever interviewed. She just knew everything about everything.
She's a very smart lady from what I've seen of some of her other interviews.
Yeah, she went to Harvard or Yale or somewhere like that. And
wow.
She's super, super smart.
I wish she was in more stuff, though, because, like, she doesn't do much nowadays anymore, because I feel like she was on, like, the hype of being, like, in, Silence of the Lambs, and then, then she did, like, other stuff, like The Beaver, and then that Money, what's that Money movie? George Clooney. The one, it was like the heist, was it Money Heist? Is that what it was called?
It was.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one she directed. So I haven't seen her much in anything nowadays.
Do you know who she is, Matt?
Oh yeah, I know who Jodie Foster is.
Okay.
And it's like I said, it's only been like Silence of the Lambs, and she's kind of like she's been on and off for me like throughout the years. Just like she'll pop up, I'm like, oh look, Jodie Foster, and then I just move on.
I usually like to see anything that she's in, even if it's like for a short, period too.
I was telling when I interviewed her, I was talking to her about Silence of the Lamb. She played Clarice, and I said there were times in that film that you had a distinctive Southern accent, and she said, yes, that was intentional. She said Clarice, was raised in Southern Midwestern town and had a definite accent. But she worked very hard to get rid of it when she went to work for the FBI because she didn't want to have anything that could be negative about her. And she said, but in the movie, if you will notice, it's in the scenes when she's under the greatest stress that her accent creeps back out. Now that is really, I mean, can you imagine having that much forethought that, okay, she's under stress, so now I'm going to give a little bit more of a southern drawl or whatever to it. I mean, and it's very subtle, and you have to almost be listening for it to hear it. But she's that much of an intensive actress. So.
I'm trying to figure out who's that, like our generations now, Mac. Who do you think that would be? I feel like somebody like a Jennifer Lawrence or like. That's like that nowadays.
Like that has what?
That kind of same essence as Jodie Foster. Taking on roles like that.
I wouldn't say Jennifer Lawrence because I don't know. That's like maybe like a Charlize Theron, or maybe like I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because everything is it really is like. It's kind of different now with everything because like there's not really a lot of female actresses I think can do that style. There's like a few, and like Charlize is one of the ones I could think of.
Well, anyways, those are all of our questions from the audience. So I want to thank everybody who submitted questions, and I believe that's it for our episode. So I think this was a really great. Yeah, we have. Fortunately, show's over. Got to get out, folks. Kidding, but yeah. But now it's time to close out. Mr. Cooper, do you have any final words?
Well, I hope that people will go to YouTube and look at my YouTube channel. And also, that's just Jackie K. Cooper. You just type it in and search, and it brings up the whole channel, and subscribe and do all that stuff. I am on Instagram. I am on TikTok, and that's Jackie K. Cooper 77. And the 77 is because that was the year I went viral. I was 77 years old when I went viral. So Jackie K. Cooper 77. But I want to tell you, both of y'all, how much I appreciate this. This has been just fantastic. I love talking about movies, and this has given me all this time just to talk about movies. That's fantastic. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for coming on so much. We appreciate it.
Mac, why don't you take us on home?
All right. So if you want to find Mr. Cooper, all of his social media will be in the link in the description, so you can go find him. So we want to thank you for coming on once again. You were a wonderful guest. You were like one of our first guests of 2021. You're breaking new ground this year, Mr. Cooper, for us.
Yes, and please come back. We would love to have you come back on to talk more movie news, more movie reviews, and just more fun with you in general.
Yeah. Y'all know where I am and how to get in touch with me, so I would love it.
But until next time, we're going to give this a wrap. So this has been Mac, this has been Kristin, aka Ms. Flamingo, and this has been our guest, Jackie K. Cooper, and we will see you all in the next episode. Peace.